Timber frame architecture has shaped China for thousands of years. But the Forbidden City represents the pinnacle in terms of size and quality, building on tried and tested architectural principles.
Innovation was not the key here. Tradition was the key in Chinese architecture, especially in imperial architecture, because your ancestors were important, and historical precedent was important, and ritual and connection with the past, all of these were important.
The Ming engineers faced a huge challenge: to turn old, established designs into the greatest structure ever seen on Earth, using mostly wood. Jonathan Dugdale visits the Palace of Longevity and Health to see how this traditional architecture shaped the Forbidden City.
What you immediately notice is this huge golden roof that curves outwards away from the building in a way that you just don't see in European architecture. Looking up here, what we have is these elegantly coloured crossbeams decorated with imperial dragons and phoenixes. And they're there to support these huge red columns that bear the structural load of that massive roof.
This is the basic module for every building in the Forbidden City. 4 or 8 columns supporting a timber frame. Larger buildings, such as the Great Halls, are 5, 7, or 9 of these modules combined to form their structural core. This versatile modular approach to construction is set out in an official building manual known as the Yingzhou Fa-Shi, or Treatise on Architectural Methods.
What I have in front of me here is a copy of the Yingzhou Fa-Shi. This is the first building manual that we have from China.
It was published in the 12th century.
This manual not only explains all of the different elements of the timber frame system and how they fit together, but also it provides a standardized system that can be scaled up even to something as grand as the entire Forbidden City.
This is incredible.
The ingenuity of traditional Chinese architecture caught the imagination of an American carpenter, Richard Weibo.
Sure. I saw a photograph of a fellow sitting on the roof of a building beneath a dougong bracket set that was huge, enormous. A light went on and I said, I've got to find out more about this.
He is visiting a workshop near Beijing to see traditional carpenters at work. Richard wants to know how Yongle would have built something on the scale of the Forbidden City.
All right.
There is no better place to do this than at Tai Miao Temple, originally built by Yongle in 1420. The same year that the Forbidden City was constructed. Local architect Dr. Chang Wengwei has arranged special access to go inside its Great Hall. It's breathtaking. The importance of this hall for ancestral worship is reflected in its vast dimensions, 68 meters wide and 33 meters tall. Yongle would have come here to hold solemn ceremonies, offering sacrifices to his ancestors, emphasizing his place in the Ming dynasty. Inside, there are 13-meter-tall columns that sparkle as if speckled with gold.
Look at this magnificent column, so round and so smooth. Imagine how big the tree was that this came from.
In fact, we have 68 columns in total for this hall, and they're supporting the structure. And they look beautiful as well.
These giant columns are made of a single log of a namu tree, one of the rarest of Chinese woods. It's straight, dense, and resists rot.
This was the most prized form of wood, and subsequent emperors all sought out these namu timbers. And that was the one they wanted to build most of the buildings in the Forbidden City out of.
After Yongle announced the construction of the Forbidden City in 1406, he dispatched officials to all corners of the Ming Empire to search for building materials, including the namu trees.
If we look at the textual records, it's obvious that the Yongle court spent the most effort on obtaining the wood. The most successful of the officials he sent was somebody named Song Li. Song Li was sent to Sichuan, which is in the southwest of China, and he found a lot of timbers there. He found a lot of old growth forests. Unfortunately, they just don't grow overnight. They take, something like over 100 years to grow for timbers of suitable size for these giant halls, these giant palaces. So the resource became increasingly scarce over time.
那种木头据专业人讲，没有个800年左右，甚至上千年的这个生长，长不出这么大的木头。
Harvesting these giant trees was dangerous work, and came with a huge price tag.
开采人员的这个损失相当大。一般的这个情况是有这么一谚语，叫进山1000，出山500。
The structure of this elaborate Ming temple is striking, with its huge roof, massive timber frame, and rows of bracket sets, or dougong. At first glance, the dougong look like an elaborate decorative feature, but they have a key structural role in holding together the Forbidden City's buildings. Each dougong is a complex bracket set that supports the roof and extends outside to allow a wide eave or porch. It is a unique Asian design. The columns and beams create the timber frame that support the dougong. And these all carry the heavy, ornate roof that seems to overwhelm its support. At the temple, Richard climbs up to explore further.
Here we are in a place I never imagined I'd be, 20 feet off the ground in a Ming imperial building. These dougong support a roof and stabilize the building. A bracket set is a complicated puzzle, many different parts that fit together to make a whole. And what we're hoping to discover is A, how they're made, and B, why they were made, because obviously it takes a lot of work to make each one.
A dougong is made from up to 60 pieces of wood. Richard finds one is easy to take apart, but harder to assemble.
Now, after taking a deep breath, we'll try and put this back together again.
And amazingly, there are no nails or glue. Nothing holding it together other than the marvelous, precise carpentry.
You can see this isn't, even for somebody who's done it a few times, it's complicated. One piece goes in the front here. There you have it, a bracket set. So you can see it's a little bit flexible. It's very strong. Pressing down, it can take a tremendous amount of weight. It ties together with other parts of the building and is a beautiful, creative feature of Chinese architecture.
Dougong first appeared in China over 2,000 years ago, but they reached their zenith in the Forbidden City, created by Yongle's army of highly skilled carpenters.